How's it going, ladies and gents? Welcome to XOXO the PlayStation. This episode, I'm doing a double upload today because I felt like it and I want to. And honestly, I was kind of thinking about what's going on with E3. We are only a few months away now from E3. So I want to discuss some of my predictions. So this is part one. I'm going to focus on Nintendo today just because Nintendo is probably the one I know the least of what they could be doing. And that's mainly because, and it's also one of the ones that might be the most obvious too. In terms of like what games are going to get shown, what they're going to talk about, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to ramble too much further. Let's get into it. So I think Nintendo obviously is going to talk about the Switch. I mean, it just came out. They're going to talk about numbers, sales, how it's doing. They're going to definitely highlight Legend of Zelda has a pretty much, if I remember right, it has it has over 100% of an adoption rate for the Switch. Now, granted, the sales numbers indicate that it's selling over what the Switch is, but that's because there's a Wii U version of it. So really, in theory, the adoption rate is probably going to be still really high. If I take a guess, the adoption rate for Legend of Zelda for the Switch will probably be 75 to 80%. I mean, it's the main reason why that thing sold. Much like the adoption rate probably for like games like Killzone, Shadowfall for PS4 early on was probably pretty high. If I remember, it was like 60%. Like it was a pretty highly sold game, or 50%. It was relatively well adopted. And the Xbox had Forza, which had a pretty damn good adoption rate, along with Rise, and that's just what launch games do. Nintendo had the opportunity, to have not only something incredibly amazing in the form of Zelda be a launch title, but it was also is just an amazing game. It really was. And in my opinion, I haven't personally played it, so I don't know how good it is. But what I do know is that it looks incredible, and I do want to play it at some point. Do I think that all this talk that it's the best Zelda game ever made? I don't think so. Just because, excuse me, I don't want to become like iDubbbz. Not necessarily. I like iDubbbz. I just don't want copies burp. I don't think it's too early to tell. It's kind of like everyone saying that initially, even me, when I beat Uncharted 4, I was like, wow, this must be the best one in the series. But then I kind of took some time away from it, and I went, is it though? I don't know. I don't know if it's the best one, because Uncharted 3 was phenomenal, Uncharted 2 was phenomenal. I don't know which one's the best one. So with Zelda, it's okay, and I think Uncharted's the same way. I think it's okay to have different reasons for each one being the best at what they do. I think Zelda is the best representation of a Zelda game that adapted to the times and is proof in the pudding that Zelda can adapt into this new world of gaming. Specifically, I mean, it took open world games and ran with it and did it exceptionally well. And kind of like what Horizon did. Horizon was bold and did an open world game in the way it did, and just was a great mishmash of a lot of different things, and it did it exceptionally well. And Zelda did the same thing, and I think that's what Uncharted does too. Uncharted kind of follows its own path, but makes itself adaptable to the point where it becomes better over time. That's why I think Uncharted 4 debatably could be the best one in the series if you want to look at it in a certain way. But be that as it may, Nintendo's definitely going to talk at length about Switch, the number of sales. They're probably going to show off some new amiibos and a lot of probably new controllers. They're going to talk about probably like games like ARMS and whatnot, and like how well they're doing. And a lot of games like that, more than likely. Ones that are on the way, ones that are going to be releasing around E3, things like that. So they're going to probably still show off Zelda a little bit, just because that's what usually studios do. They show off the games a little bit that have recently come out near E3. Like, what was it? Uncharted 4 still got shown off at E3 by PlayStation a little bit at their booths. So Nintendo will probably do that, and Nintendo will probably highlight, Zelda is probably getting possibly some free DLC in the form of, like, new additional content, things like that. Possibly, I don't know. I could see them doing, like, free add-on stuff in terms of we have, like, new content that we're throwing in it for free, kind of like what The Witcher did, which is evidently enough in the background. I do think they're doing that. I don't know in what category or to what extent, but we'll see. I think they're going to talk about Splatoon, they're going to talk about ARMS, they're going to talk about all these other games, and really, I think what they need to do is they definitely need to highlight um, a couple things. I think they need to highlight the fact that Zelda is such an important franchise, and I think it would behoove them to somehow bring a remastered version for the Switch of another Zelda game. I think it'd be really cool to see 3DS versions of like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask be adapted to the Switch because it would make sense, or something like that. Maybe they could do that through the store, which again kind of wraps into they need to have a system in place going forward now, and I think they're going to talk about E3 where you can play a lot of these older games from like the Wii U and the Wii and whatnot that were digital through the Nintendo Store through emulation on your Switch. I think that is important. I think that is something they need to figure out, and I think they will discuss whatever that's going to be at E3. Hopefully, it's a system that kind of takes a lot of cues from the industry. But here's my fear. Nintendo hasn't always been the best at listening to the industry. They kind of just do their own thing, and they do it well for the most part. And I'm giving them a lot of leeway here. But they haven't always been the most accepting of what the industry's up to. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of online, because sadly, as of right now, they haven't adapted like an achievement medal trophy system yet. As far as I know, they don't plan on doing anything like that, which sucks because the meta game of doing those hunting, while kind of stupid, is a lot of fun. It gives another incentive to continue playing those games, and it's another incentive to play multiplayer games if there are a couple trophies in that realm, right? On top of that, it seems like their online infrastructure needs some work still. They haven't really gotten online gameplay down yet, so hopefully they figure out and they can talk about that. E3 be like, hey, we updated our servers for Splatoon and whatnot, so it'll be easier to play those games online. They're gonna be quicker, more fluid, blah blah blah. On top of that, it'll be easier to download games, and I hope they learn a lot from the industry on that front. But again, they haven't always been the most open to taking the changes around them too often, which is worrying, but also it's kind of nice having something that you can rely upon and go, yeah, they do them, and that's something you can kind of hit your hat on, put your hat on at the end of the day. That Nintendo is Nintendo, regardless of whatever happens. I do think we're going to get more Mario. That is going to be the centerpiece of their E3 conference. We're going to get a gameplay segment, probably about 10, maybe 15 minutes, but I feel like 10 minutes would be solid with 5 minutes of talking about Mario as a whole. So we're going to get the new 3D Mario. It'd be really cool if they do a new Paper Mario on top of the new 3D Mario for the Switch. And I think they're going to just, discuss a lot of the other kind of... I think there's going to be more remasters on the way from the Wii U. I do think that. I think we are going to get potentially a port of Zelda Wind Waker Wii U, which would be kind of a slap in the face for Wii U fans, but at the same time, it would benefit. It would add more to the catalog for the Switch. It wouldn't hurt necessarily because, yeah, you might piss off people that bought the Wii U mainly for the Wind Waker, but the argument could be, well, this is just you don't have to get this. It's kind of like Splatoon. It's like, you don't have to get this by any means. It's just another game for people that didn't buy it and didn't buy the Wii U, but want to replay these games. I mean, I'd be interested in that personally. I think the more games like that, the better. I think it'd be also a smart idea for them to bring back certain games. So, I think that'd be smart for them to do a Fatal Frame game. I hope they're working on one of those, because Fatal Frame for the Switch would be really sweet. Same with another Donkey Kong game. I hope they're doing another Donkey Kong game, and I hope that gets officially announced. Among other things. Really, this E3 should be a weird mashup / mixture of talking about kind of all the success they've been having, and then setting the set pieces for what else is happening besides Mario for the rest of the year, and even a little bit next year. Because I think that's the biggest concern right now for Nintendo, besides the infrastructure of like the network and the online and all that. I think the other big issue that they need to worry about is basically what's their lineup going to look like besides Mario, because that's the biggest critique right now of the Switch, and why if they don't handle things correctly, the sales for that thing, while really great right now, they could slow down potentially if they don't get a lineup to help back up Zelda. Because I'm sorry, no one's going to continue buying this thing, much like the Wii U, if there's only one or two games to buy for it. That's why the Xbox One and eventually the Scorpio, and that's why the PS4 and the Pro has sold relatively well. And I think that's why the Scorpio is going to sell well too. It's because the Pro and the Scorpio, they do things better than their base models, sure, but I mean they also still play the same games that are on the base models, just better. But that's kind of just the point. That's why the PS4 has sold as well as it has, because it's had a ton of games. Xbox One has had a ton of games. It's had third-party support, second-party, and first-party. Nintendo really can only rely on second-party and first-party games. They don't have a third-party system in place yet. And the games that are third-party are ports from old versions of old games. You know, the Skyrim edition that they brought out for the Wii U, that is the original Skyrim, not even the HD remastered for the PS4 and whatnot. They can't play the Switch can't play games like Mass Effect Andromeda and things like that. So the Switch needs to lean on its first party lineup properly and its second party lineup, and it's gonna have to do a lot to kind of make a substantial lineup for people to care about consistently going forward for the next 2 years and next year. Because as of right now, yeah, people are buzzing about Zelda. At least they did for a while. I haven't heard much buzz about it lately because Persona came out, Nier came out, Mass Effect came out, and Crash Bandicoot isn't too far away. Now people are talking about E3, including me, and Zelda hasn't really been talked about as much for good reason, because not to say that's bad or old news, but it kind of is old news at this point. It's a game that everyone went, cool, yeah, it was great, but what else does Nintendo got in its pocket? Because as of right now, it doesn't have a lot going for it besides Mario. It's got its two big heavy hitters that it can lean on, and a lot of HD ports of games people have already bought for the Wii U. What else can it bring to the table? Because as of right now, it doesn't have a bad lineup, but it needs more. So my hope is, again, reiterating, it's got Donkey Kong in the pipe, not just HD remaster of Tropical Breeze, but or is that the name of it? I think it's Tropical Breeze. Well, my hope is that they have a brand new Donkey Kong in the pipe, a brand new Pikmin possibly, a brand new Fatal Frame in the pipe. It'd be awesome to see a sequel to Luigi's Mansion. That'd be fucking awesome. Another Paper Mario would be sick. Just a lot of games like that. Hell, I would take some games Nintendo hasn't really worked on or touched in a long time. It'd be cool for them to do I think it'd be really cool if they did the HD remaster for the Switch of a game like Munch's Odyssey. Because that was awesome on the Xbox. If they're able to somehow coerce a remake of that for the Switch, that'd be fucking cool. Something like that. Not necessarily that game, but something like that. Or if they can get games more of a substantial indie lineup. Because right now they actually have a decent indie lineup. But if they could get some of the bigger, well-known ones, like Inside or games like that, maybe if they can somehow get other like more action-y top-down shooter kind of indie games, something like Bastion or something, not necessarily Bastion, but something along those lines, God, I'm trying to remember the party game that they're making right now. It's like Gang Beasts or something. If they can get games like that, that'd be fucking killer. That'd be absolutely killer. But again, I mean, we're gonna see. I do think and I do hope Nintendo is listening and that they have their lineup is already set. So my hope is that for E3 they're going to have a lot to talk about in terms of their upcoming first-party lineup and second-party lineup, and that for the next year and a half to 2 years even, they have a lot in the pipe. That's my hope. And I hope that they've learned from the previous Treehouse events and their E3s and not focus on only 4 games. They need to kind of copy Sony and just rattle a lot of shit off because they need to get some goodwill back. And I think they're going in the right way. They're going the right path. So we'll see. I have a lot of hope and a lot of faith in Nintendo. So hope you guys like it, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. See you later.